Oh, this photo is just adorable. Just a reminder, I'm just editing these from the beginning, so I'm not practicing beforehand. So if you see mistakes, just know that that happens sometimes when you're editing, and I'll show you how to work around them. So I didn't get any direction on what she wanted edited with this photo, so I'm just going to have a little bit of fun with it. I think this might be a fun one to put a texture on. So I'm going to open and go to pictures, and this is just where I have it stored in mine. So wherever you store your textures, you're going to find one, and let's try one of these. And there were some questions about textures, some really great questions, and I will answer those a little bit more later, but one of the questions was how you decide which texture. A lot of it is just trial and error, going through and trying different textures and knowing which ones you like and how they affect a photo. Sometimes they affect a photo a lot, sometimes they don't do much, so you kind of want to know what different effects you'll get from the different photos. I think for this one I'm going to try this texture, and I select it, copy it, and go back to my original photo and paste it. Then I'm just making it fit here. And because this has this extra line here, sometimes I like that on the picture, but for this one I think I'm just going to pull it off so it's more even. Okay, at this point I can choose overlay. That's usually my favorite. I like that one a lot. Or soft light. That's a little bit less intense. There's all different things you can try. Hard light. I'd really want to take that off of her if I chose that. I think I'm going to choose an overlay and pull back the opacity a bit. And then I'm going to select my lasso tool and draw around her. I'm going to take all the texture off of my subject here. So I've drawn that. I go into Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I'm just blurring the texture right now. I'm not blurring the picture because we have the texture layer highlighted there. So that just blurs the texture and makes it smooth, but leaves the color on her. So there's before and there's after. And now I'm just going to run an action on this. I think I'd like it to be a little more vintagey. I'm going to try the classic film first. Some of these take a while to run. I should have some good jokes or something during this time to tell you, but my mind is just filled with Photoshop. This one would probably be a cute one in black and white too, but I just love the colors in the mountains and the reflections here, and the color of the sand, and then her little bit of pink, so we'll leave that in color. Seems to be running extra slow today. I'm not sure why. There we go. Okay, there's before and after, and it's definitely a harsher effect, especially on her face, than I want. So I'm going to pull the opacity back quite a bit, and I also want to lighten the whole photo. I'm going to do that. There's before and after. And then I want to add some effects. I'm thinking maybe sweet tea on this one. And no, she's a little pink already, a little bit of an orange tone, so I don't think I like that one. We'll just try a few different things and see what comes up. Cross process will usually bring some green back to it. Okay, I'm going to pull back the blue ginger. Okay. I wanted to add some green tones, some teal to this because it felt a little bit orangey and warm, and I wanted it to have a really vintage feel. This is like just one way to edit. There's this photo. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you could edit this same photo and get different effects and some great effects. So don't feel like this is the end all of how to edit this photo. This is just one way. I'm going to add some of that blue ginger back. As you can see, I'll play back and forth with these different layers and just add and change the opacities and lighten and darken, all sorts of different things that you can do. I think I'm going to add a little bit of darkness and depth to the background, so I'm going to copy that background. So I've got my background copy, and then on that copy I'm going to choose multiply, and as you can see, it brought a lot of color into the background. Of course, I don't want it on her, so layer mask, and then I'm going to choose the inverse. And this would be Control I or Command I, and then I'm going to paint on, make sure my brush is white because my layer mask is black because I inverted it. I'm going to paint some of this color into here. Now this probably looks like too much, and it is. It's a little bit much for right now, but I just want to get that in there, and then I'll pull the opacity back. Just going around her. And then play with that opacity till it's where I like it. Okay, so here's our before, the complete before, and there's the after. I just thought the texture would add a fun vintage feel because she has a little bit of a vintage feel to her with that hat and her sweet expression, and I added some actions to combat the orangey feel, so a little bit of hazy teal, and the blue ginger just added some vintage to it. So one more time, the before and the after, and of course lightening it to bring a little more attention to her face. And then this one with the sharpening, sometimes I don't like to sharpen the whole, yeah, it's running really slow today. I don't know what's going on. I don't like to sharpen the texture, so duplicate the background, run your sharpening. I'm going to zoom in to her face. That didn't add much at all, so I think that's just enough. That should be fine. And saving that as final. And that's it.